Hi, I'm Stuart Robinson, chiropractor here at Precision Golf, and today everyone knows Simon. He's going to be the guinea pig today. We thought, as we're getting into the season where people are obviously playing more golf, and the rough is certainly getting thicker and longer, it would be a good time to talk about elbow issues, because if you've been playing golf for any length of time, you've probably experienced some twinges in your elbow. Simon's certainly nodding, sadly. Yeah. So, and I've experienced it as well. So, elbow problems generally come under two categories: tennis elbow on the outside of the elbow here, and golfer's elbow on the inside. In actual fact, there are lots of golfers who end up getting tennis elbow. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have been hitting lots of tennis serves to get tennis elbow. So broadly speaking, these issues come about because the muscles, if we look at the tennis elbow first of all, the muscles that extend your wrist and your fingers run up to what's known as the common extensor origin on this bony lumpy bit on the outside of the elbow, the lateral epicondyle. And when I extend my wrist and fingers, you can see those muscles working. So there's a lot of strain that goes onto that point of attachment where the tendons attach here, and you can end up getting microscopic breakup of the fibers there over a period of time, and then you can start to get pain and problems with that. So yeah, whether it's sometimes at one shot out of the rough or after a practice session, people can often end up feeling that. And I know, Simon, you were saying after a winter of hitting shots off a mat and practicing quite a lot, and obviously all of the impact forces going through here, you can see you've got obviously the acceleration of the club, and then if you're hitting a mat, a degree of deceleration and all the vibration forces going up through into the forearm, making those muscles really work, and obviously a lot of strain then on the tendon. So
yeah, and certainly winter time, you know, we're all pretty well practiced and versed in how range mats can be very, very firm. You get a lot of rubber and then a fine bit of felt on the top, rather than the ones we use in the fitting bays downstairs. And the club head literally stops at impact. So you think the forces going through elbows and wrists, and that say acceleration into rapid deceleration. You know, certainly say one elbow, one wrist from hitting off mats. But now this time of year, you know, we both play courses with Heather. That rapid deceleration is there as well from that. So.
Yeah. And I think something to talk about before we necessarily go into discussing the specifics of what people might be feeling and treatments, or also, you know, management strategies for these things, is just to say, well, if you know that you're going to be wanting to practice a lot, think about how many shots you're hitting off mats. Maybe even consider hitting some iron shots off a low tee so that there isn't the impact, or if you can hit off grass, obviously that's great. And then when you're out just playing a practice round, if you've got a particularly nasty lie in deep heather or rough, think about whether it's really necessary. If you're already experiencing some symptoms, do you have to hit that shot, or do you just say to your playing partners, look, I mean, if you're playing a friendly game, you might even just decide to take a penalty drop and say, you know, it's not worth causing the aggravation. Well, it shouldn't be. Exactly. Hopefully. So, and going to the other side, so flexors of the wrist and the fingers here, running up like here to the medial epicondyle of the elbow, and another very important muscle here that does this action, the pronator teres it's called. So it pulls the forearm so that the palm faces down. That's a very common cause of elbow pain on the inside here. So again, with people changing grips and things like that, if they're changing the usage pattern of these muscles, again, that's a really common time for people to experience symptoms. So if you know you are about to go through a grip change, you might want to then think about, you know, how many shots you're hitting, and just say, okay, well, I've got to take more of a long-term strategy with these things, because overuse injuries like this can take a little bit of time to build up, and you won't necessarily immediately be aware that you're doing a degree of microscopic damage, but then they can take quite a long time to settle down, because unfortunately blood supply to tendons is not good. So where muscle tears can heal relatively quickly and within 6 weeks they're all but recovered, that doesn't happen in tendons, and you get this slow and sometimes incomplete tissue repair and a degree of scar tissue that can form. So we obviously want to try and prevent that.
Is there a correlation between kind of longer gradual cause of injury and longer gradual repair and healing? And also if there's a gradual one, then of course as humans we all want to get back to doing what we love doing probably quicker than we should. And so is that a general correlation? Is that something to be aware of?
It depends. So sometimes with these tendon-related issues, that can be the case, and if it's something that's been grumbling on and it's had a persistent source of irritation for a sustained period of time, that can potentially be an issue. But sometimes if you do get a really unpleasant one-off injury, someone, unfortunately hits a tree root or a really thick clump of heather, and then you get some tearing to the muscle and maybe the tendon as well, then you could have a very significant acute onset that would need quite a bit of rest and then stages of rehabilitation and things. So fingers crossed, hopefully that doesn't happen to
horrid
people,
outcome.
but yes, not very nice. So some of these things we can avoid, and sometimes doing some degree of prevention work where actually if you're wanting to play a lot in one particular season, you think you're going to be working on some grip or some swing changes, then actually thinking, well, January, February, March time, doing a few gentle strengthening exercises to really make sure those muscles and the tendon are already used to the loading, so that when you get to the golf season, they're actually more resilient, would be a good thing to do. If you rest the area entirely, it might make the symptoms settle down. The problem is when you start to do things again, the pain can come back and you have this amorphous scar tissue around the tendon that hasn't really fully healed up, and the new tendon fibers haven't been fully integrated into the three-dimensional structure. And so what we need to do is, rather than resting completely or just trying to ignore it and continuing to hit 100 range balls a night, we say, right, okay, well, need to take a step back from doing the things that have obviously caused the overuse injury, and then put regular gentle loading through the muscle and through the tendon, and we know that stimulates the fibers to heal up more quickly. So with that in mind, if I was to get you to stand on this band with your foot, Simon, and then grip the band down like this under a little bit of tension, that's it. And what we do, have your elbow and forearm resting on the front of your thigh, and just very gently lift up like this for me. And as you do that, you can actually see Simon's forearm muscles, and particularly from around the side here, you'll see those muscles all firing up around where the point of attachment is. So I'd actually get him to do this even more slowly, so one repetition maybe takes 10 or 15 seconds, and then really slowly and gently drop the band back down again under tension. This is what's known as an eccentric muscle contraction. So the muscles shorten to pull the wrist up like this in the case of the wrist extensors, but the band is then pulling Simon's wrist back down again this way. So these wrist extensor muscles are lengthening but under some tension, so slowly down like this. The relevance of that is that form of muscle contraction stimulates the muscle and the tendon quite vigorously, and we know that form of exercise and that form of loading actually helps to stimulate the tendon fibers to heal up more quickly. Right. So that downward slow phase is really important. So we'd be looking at doing this sort of exercise up to the point of feeling a bit of discomfort perhaps, but not significant pain, and not significant pain afterwards.
Would this be something to do as a part of a warm-up?
Well, you certainly could do, yeah. And as we were discussing in terms of prevention strategies, just having a 1 or 2 kilo kettlebell or something, or a weight, or even just a bottle of water. When you're sitting at the computer, you can be doing these things, you know, and just gently working those muscles and then going the other way, you know, and rolling over, so you've got some supination and then some pronation under a bit of loading. Yeah, absolutely. So given that wrist and elbow problems are so prevalent in golfers, certainly regular golfers or people who are getting into regular golf if they haven't been playing much, that yes, absolutely, I think it's worth doing that. And then obviously, you know, stretching those muscles and connective tissues out a bit is a good idea. Having played, having practiced, having done a bit of exercise. So
I think the beauty of these is also that you can sit there and do, you know, any of this, sat watching television, sat in the clubhouse after a game,
reading emails.
It doesn't require you to have to go anywhere or be anywhere specific to do it.
That's right.
So even actually you could almost sort of put a little bit of strain on a hold down and create the same sort of thing.
Absolutely,
you wouldn't even need a...
No, that's right. You could do that with your other hand. Absolutely. No, that's very good. Yeah, quite right.
So anything that's specific to the inside?
So the inside, so as we said before, this pronation action is one that tends to cause strain around the inside of the elbow, and certainly that's pretty common for golfers. So we'd basically just do the reverse. So you know, work on the muscles through here, release those out, and then doing the same thing with the band.
Display there.
So that's it, and just pulling up that way. That's good. And this time you can obviously see those muscles working like that.
Less obvious on my arms than yours.
Well, yeah.
Stuart practices what he preaches.
I've always had, not all of my muscles are that strong, but my forearms usually have, over my life, been, I suppose these days, working.
Useful from all the treatment.
Yeah, the treatment, so yeah.
And I imagine that's something actually for you with your profession, your kind of hands and wrists take quite a lot of...
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so lots of clinicians who do hands-on treatment do end up getting tennis or golfer's elbow, and they haven't been playing either potentially. So yeah, that's right. No, it definitely does strengthen those muscles, but put some strain on them as well. So the other thing to say is, with the band, we want to do some resisted pronation like this. So if you have it around the side of your knee, and then you actually pull around and in like that. Then you'll get that muscle working. That's it, and you'll see that. That's it. So firing up as you bring the arm over.
And this is rolling, not rolling the whole upper arm.
No. So you're not trying to move the shoulder exactly. Yeah. So we're looking at the joint here. So there's movement at what's known as the radial head. So it's the. So
you don't see the upper arm rolling.
No, exactly right. That's it. So we want the pronation to all come from the elbow rather than an internal rotation of the shoulder. That's good, and then you'll get those muscles firing up again. With a light weight or a water bottle is fine. That's good.
So many thanks to Stuart. So our on-site chiropractor, biomechanics expert, therapy expert, and all-round body science boffin. So super valuable things for any golfer to know, and just a bit of a roundup of the key things.
Sure. So I think if you know that you're going to be practicing and playing a lot, just bear in mind that there's a lot of loading that's likely to go through the elbow and through the wrist and those muscles. If you're changing your grip and your technique, obviously bear that in mind. As we get to the stage in the year where there are more shots likely to be hit out of thick, rough or heather, obviously bear that strain in mind. So try and think ahead. Prevention's always a good idea. And then if you start to feel some symptoms, you can obviously try some of the exercises, or get someone to have a look at your elbow and see what the situation is, because you don't want to leave it and then find that you're really struggling later on.
So thanks again. Fascinating as always. I love all the sciencey stuff. Any injuries, any kind of conditions, anything you'd like to ask, please fire those questions in. Any of the content you guys want us to do, we've got all the experts on hand to answer any questions you have. So if you like this, subscribe, watch our other videos, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.